Welcome to the Wealth Blueprint Podcast, where we bring on guests that will teach you how to break the matrix. Most people are not taught on how to invest, understand how money operates, and learning the secret to living a limitless life. We will give you the knowledge, trials, and insight to create your own wealth blueprint. It's up to you to implement and act. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Wealth Blueprint. Today, we have my main man, David McKinzie, a.k.a. D-Mac.
That's right.
A.k.a. the voice of Boise.
Yes, sir. Yes,
a.k.a.
sir.
the black mama on the court.
That's right, man. I'm excited to be here, man.
Dude, I'm pumped.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Friday morning. It's a little snowy outside, but we got the good energy. We got the incense going.
For letting you down. I haven't been at hoops the last couple weeks, but I will be there soon.
That's a separate conversation we're going to have off the podcast. All right. Well, hey, let's get a quick intro to you. So a lot of people know you as the voice of Boise.
Right.
We met about a year and a half ago, kept seeing each other around, running with the same circle. We finally said, we was down in the Royal Coffee. It's like, hey, we got to sit down. We got to meet each other. Like,
yes,
for
sir.
real. I know a little bit about you. You know a little bit about me. Let's make it happen. So
yeah, man.
I think a lot of people, and myself included during that time, was like, man, this guy is everywhere, right? But I want to hear I want you to do your own intro so that people can understand who is David, your past at Boise State.
Sure.
How you got to the voice of Boise. Give me just a couple minutes on that.
Yeah, of course, man. So, used to play football at Boise State. Got done playing football there. Started hosting events, doing stuff across the country, hosting events, stuff like that. But then needed to find out, how do I start a business, right?
Yeah.
And so just to fast forward, what I do now, I have my own media company. We're currently producing 2 network TV shows. I'm spokesman for different brands. I have my own talk show as well, too. So anything under the umbrella of media, telling a brand story, public relations, entertainment, that's my gig. So that's why it sometimes does look like, man, I see you hosting this, but you're also on this shoot, but then you're also producing this show. It's all under the umbrella of media, entertainment. How I got there, Bryce, was really, after hosting events, I was doing some sports talk stuff. I was like, I just don't want to talk about sports every day. I want to talk about everything, right?
Okay.
How do I get to talk about everything, right? And that's one key of how you can get there is just by having a mindset that's saying, I want to get there, so how do I do it? So I just networked myself, started to host Miss Idaho, started to host things on CBS, and then it took my fiance's mother one time. She said, hey, can you help me with some PR marketing stuff? I said, I don't really do that. I do it for myself. I don't do it for others. Yeah. But let me see what I can do.
Okay.
And when I started working with her, all of a sudden, within 4 or 5 months, I was creating content for her. I think I referred to her around $10 to $12 million in referral business within 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And it was like all this content was being produced, all these relationships were making, and the bell clicked of, this is how I can make a business out of this, helping people, growing people up on how I grew myself and helping them grow their business as well.
I love it. I love that. So let's rewind. We're going back to college football days, right? Playing college football. I know when I was playing basketball, I didn't have anything on my mind but basketball.
Sure.
During this time at Boise State, did you have any idea of what you wanted to do next? Did it involve being an entrepreneur? Did it involve media? Take us back to that original mindset.
It's a great question, man. Well, when I was at Boise State football, I walked on, right?
Okay.
So,
and you from Texas, right?
From Texas.
From Texas.
I had scholarships, D1 AA, whatever. I had a scholarship at Texas Tech. And they pulled that last minute, so then I had nowhere to go. Boise State came, said, hey, we have a spot for you, be a preferred walk-on. And so when I came up to Boise State, it wasn't in my mind of, oh, my God, it's either NFL or bust for me. I already kind of knew, I might be playing a little bit, I might not.
Wow.
So by my sophomore year at Boise State football, I was still working my ass off. I was still trying to get on the field, but I was already interning at radio stations. I was already, I did at a young age. I was in modeling as a young age. I was doing entertainment as a young age. I was in Barney as a young age.
You were in Barney?
If you go to Barney and you see the one black kid on that Barney, it probably was me. Okay, right? So I just always knew, hey, bro, if football doesn't work out, I'm going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Right, so
I think that's rare.
I
would say that's very rare.
It's very rare.
A lot of people. I wasn't even at D1. I was at a junior college, and everybody thought they were going to go play with LeBron the next year. Right. Not that that's a bad mindset to have.
Right.
But especially as you got out and now you're in this business world, you're in this entrepreneurial, lifestyle. I would say it put you ahead having that mindset. Like, hey, this is probably not going to be the main thing forever, and you're already kind of starting to cultivate that work ethic towards what you're doing now.
Right, and I think a lot of issues people have is that that's one thing for me. Like, I'm a servant dude at heart, right? I'm a servant leader because for 4 or 5 years I had to watch other people. I had to put other people before me.
Yeah,
so
that's big.
That what works big for me in my business now is because people might see, the voice of Boise, running behind a motorcycle with a phone, right? And they might be like, why are you? It doesn't matter to me because I'm still like in that servant mode.
Okay.
I'm not on that arrogant type thing. And a lot of people need to really check themselves if they feel that they're falling off or they're not having as much success. They need to check, are you being a servant leader? Are you putting others first? Because there's always space for somebody who serves.
Yeah.
There's always space for somebody that says, hey, man, I'm here for you. What do you need? Right? The people who typically are like, what about me?
Right.
Is when you start to suck out and to diminish your resources, right?
Yep.
So being a servant leader always puts you in positions to level up and also to succeed.
I love that. And I think you mentioned something when you first started. It sounded like that was your aha moment, the click of, hey, I don't have to just do this for me, but I can put other people on. And that was like, wow, this is how I scale that. Is that kind of what your take on it?
Totally, man. I mean, I think a lot of my clients, we've done over the last year probably over close to 1,000 videos, right? And so all of my clients, I'm all telling them, dude, like, I really want to make you a celebrity, right? Like, whatever that may be. And I remember even when we first met, I think a year and a half or so ago, when you were even doing content like that, I remember me saying, dude, like, I see you having your own finance type of show, whatever it is, investment, whatever. Remember that?
Yeah.
And now, look what that's done, right? So that's where I just see so much keys in that to people to where I don't care if you're like a small book writer, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a business coach, if you turn yourself into your own celebrity anyway or your own brand, it does so much. Because there's so many people out here, there's so many other lenders, so many other people that say, I want to do a big event.
Yeah.
I want to do a big event. I want to put the Treasure Valley on the map, all that. But I go, but nobody knows you.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows where to find you. Nobody knows who you are. And so the reason you guys have had successful events is because guess what? I see Bryce every day.
Wow. When
I go on social media, I see what Bryce is talking about crypto, about investing, all that. So when Bryce decides to have an event, it's a relationship now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm going. But some people out the gate try to say, oh,
I just want to do an event.
I want to do an event. I'm like, well, nobody knows you. So sometimes people put the cart before the horse and say, well, I'm going to take this ad class. I'm going to do all these ads. I'm like, but you don't have any content to do ads off of. What's your story? What's your name? How'd you start? Right? And so when you put that first, then you can flow.
Dude, that was perfect. I think everybody should go and rewind what they just listened to right there. So if, from what I'm hearing, and I would completely agree, if you're looking to build a personal brand, right? If you're trying to build something around you, if you're eventually wanting to, do events, all of that, don't start with the big, event type thing.
Thank you.
Start with the day-to-day, start with the stories, right? Start with the content. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if you go back to the very first videos that I did, terrible.
Right.
They're terrible. That's me filming on something. And not that you have to have, the perfect quality stuff, but you got to start somewhere. You can't just jump to the very end and you're going to be perfect with it.
Right. And look what you are now.
Right.
Expand it.
Exactly. So I think that's perfect. That's money. Why social media? Why media in general, right? There's so many different routes that entrepreneurs can take. You're, back in college again, how did you get to where you're at? What made you like, hey, I want to do this type of entrepreneur world?
Yeah. I think my parents always pushed me to be in entrepreneurship, and with somebody with the gift like mine, I do stuff in front of the camera, I do stuff behind the camera, I do entertainment, I do multiple different things. So I knew for the abilities and talents that I have, probably being a 9-to-5 might not be for me, right? So I need to find a way to be creative within finding space and room for my talent. Now, that's probably an issue for a lot of people saying, well, I have these gifts. How do I get there, right? And that one key that you need to follow probably is to say, well, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Okay. Right? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And then you can work backwards, right? So that's what helped me. I had a bunch of things going on at one point, but I was like, well, how do I grow this? How do I make a business? And when I started, I would make a joke saying I want to be, if it's the Black Ryan Seacrest or whatever that may be. But it's a clear scope because here's a guy who is a personality. He has production companies. He produces shows. He has other products. He has clothing brands. So he uses himself as a personality and then he branches that off into other businesses. So wow,
Yeah.
light for me.
Yeah.
That's what I can do on this level. And then I just now grow in that. Now, if I didn't start 10 years in the head and then work my way back, I would have been confused.
Correct. Yeah.
Would have been singing one place, playing
Yeah.
piano another here, trying to, get some money over here. So when you do that, work backwards. That's how you help yourself. So for me, it was no choice.
Right.
To get in entrepreneurship. I think I've been in this entrepreneur game since 2018. Yeah, 2017. So
Gotcha. It's your personality. Anybody that meets you, just I think part of it is you were born with this ability to speak in
Right.
front of a lot of people, right? To have these, very expressive, very good, motivational speaker in general. And so I think that was something that you're kind of born with. When you're working with people that maybe don't have that, they're not as, comfortable on the camera.
Sure.
They aren't as good with their words in front of people. What do you do as, running your business? How do you help that person? Like, are there certain things that you'll tell them to kind of coach them up on?
Sure.
What's your advice to somebody that's like, nervous to get started and maybe doesn't look like David McKinzie on camera?
Sure, that's a great question. I think that's what makes us special. I think is there's a lot of one, you make them feel comfortable,
Right.
and two, it goes back to the servant leadership thing.
Okay.
I'm not behind the camera going, this is terrible. Like this
Yeah.
is nothing what I would do. Like you're doing it way worse than I would do it.
Yeah.
No, that's when you go into servant mode, and we've had so many people who are not good in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But when they get with me and I just ask them questions, the camera's rolling, they start talking, there's a comfort there.
Sure.
And as they start talking, people who never would speak in public ever,
Yeah.
once they work with me for a couple of weeks, now they're hitting me up going, let's do more because they breaking that seal, right?
Yeah.
So the one key I tell to any public speaker is that if you are scared to get in public or to talk about anything, the one step to get over that hump or that nerve is to, number one, start talking about things on your social media that you do know.
Oh, okay.
That you are comfortable talking about. Like you might not be comfortable talking about business coaching, but guess what? You might be a finance major, so you know a lot about finance.
Okay.
So start talking about the knowledge you have on finance. So I like putting people in their bag
Okay.
of talking about the things that they already know what to say on.
Yeah.
Then we can expand on other areas of, now you can talk about marketing. Now you can talk about media. Now you can talk about social media. But if I don't know anything about that yet and I'm not a good speaker,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put you in front of the camera to say that yet.
I like that.
We'll grow to that pace, right? So
Right.
comfortability, servant leadership, and then also putting them in a place to say, I like talking about these type of topics.
I love that. And I think one thing that kind of came to mind when you're speaking about all that is there's a lot of people, within specifically, I'm always in the real estate. I'm seeing people in real estate, loan officers, title reps, agents, et cetera. But a lot of people have that dilemma of like what to talk about, you
Sure.
know? And something that you said is talk about what you know, right? To start with. So
Yeah.
for people out there, it's okay if you're a real estate agent, but like, maybe you're really into college football,
Right.
Or NFL football, right? So every Sunday, come out and talk about
Right.
what your team did, what's going on, within
Thank
the NFL.
you.
Because there's going to be people that know, football, that watch NFL, watch college football. They'll react to you.
They'll
right?
relate.
They'll relate to you, and and that's very comfortable for you to talk about.
Right.
And that's just a pillar that you can put on top of your business model. Hey,
Right.
every Sunday I'm going to give an update. What's going on?
Right.
You're going to relate to people. You're going to have, create relationships that might turn into a client. Right?
And you know what else too, Bryce, is that a lot of people, if they, it's two completely different realms, is talking about it and doing it.
Right.
Right. And so I tell a lot of people, before we even start filming, you need to, if you're not good at speaking, you need to say right now 5 times that I want to do this, I'm going to be good at it, and it's going to be a fun day. Because if I come in here and you keep saying, oh, I'm so shitty and
Yeah.
I don't like, I'm not good at it, whatever, then
Yeah.
we're really working against opposing forces here.
Sure.
I'm huge, a man of faith. I'm huge about positive energy and about putting things out there of what you walk in, right? So what you say is huge, right?
Yep.
And so I tell people every day, it's like, make sure you when we go into these shoots, speak positivity over this thing so you can walk and flow in that. That's number one. Number two is, we both know this, talking about it and doing it is two completely different realms.
Absolutely.
I can go outside and with my keys in my hand say, I'm going to get in my car, my Mercedes, and we're going to drive down the highway. We're going to have fun. We're going to go here. We're going to go to this food place. We're going to go to the movie. I can say that for hours. But when am I going to get in the car to drive to go do it?
Right.
It's a lot of people out there who are just saying that outside the car. I'm going to do this. And they do it all day. But then we're still sitting here at 6 at night and you outside the car.
Yeah.
Get in the car, turn the ignition, and go do it.
And go do it.
Talking and doing is two completely different realms.
Absolutely. And I think you and I can both relate on this. the sports background is huge with doing that.
Yes.
Right? I think that if you grow up, and it doesn't necessarily have to be sports, but it could be sports, it could be music, it could be anything else like that. But if you have some type of discipline ingrained at you at a young age, where hey, I got to be at practice at this time.
Right.
If I want to get better, if I want to get off the bench, if I want to get on the field, I got to put in those extra reps. Right.
Right.
So there's some of it that I think is intrinsic, again, that you've developed through just habits and rituals over and over and over again. But for somebody that hasn't done that,
Yeah, sure.
what is it that we can get them to actually implement?
Sure.
Right? Because you're right, talking and doing are two separate things. What is kind of your coaching method, or what would you say to somebody that's really struggling with, like, hey, D-Mac, I got all these ideas, but I'm not to the point where the rubber's hitting the road.
Sure.
What do you do to push them over?
It's a good question, man. I think the first thing is you're not going to build Rome in a day, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're somebody that says, hey, I just want to get myself out there when I get rolling, well, start small, right? Start with just maybe your phone and you just talking about 30, 40 seconds of you talking about, whether that's the market or something that you like doing. Just keep, start small there. And then that's number one. Number two, get around other people that you kind of want to emulate,
Right.
that you want to go do, right? So maybe you might be nervous to do it, but by them seeing a Bryce or David or somebody else talking, it might prompt them into doing that, right?
Love that.
And then number three is make sure that writing down your goals is key, but also continuing to speak and say, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Putting those spiritual things in motion, because the more you say, I really want to start a coaching company, but I just don't maybe think it might be for me because I'm not a good speaker, and there's so many other good speakers out there. It's like, yeah, there might be other good speakers out there, but they're not you.
Right.
Right? There
You
might
bring
be
something else.
Exactly. And so for you to know in yourself, your spiritual self, that I am special, that I am different,
Yeah.
that I am somebody that can be unique, that will take you a long way, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of great speakers out there, but they're not a Dave or they're not a Bryce, because we're made different, right? What I mean by that is, I'm not saying we're cool, but I'm saying each person is made in their own individuality, right?
Correct.
So there's Beyonce, she's a great singer. There's Alicia Keys, she's a great singer. But there's no other singer that if it's a new Boise singer, don't say, well,
I'm never gonna be like
I'm not
that.
gonna be like, no. But you're different.
Yeah.
You're different. Hey, there's Elton John, but guess what? We need Billy Joel too.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, there's Michael Jackson, but we need Prince too.
Yeah.
Right. There's 50 Cent, but we need Jay-Z too.
No, we just need 50.
Right. Right.
But no, you're absolutely correct.
So when you know, like, hey, I might not be a Lewis Howes, I might not be a Gary Vee, but guess what? I am somebody who is still unique in my own way,
Yep.
because they're not me.
Yep.
That's where you can go far.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. I love that. You do something incredibly difficult, and that is you found a way to monetize social media.
Sure.
I put out content that, I'll get relationships with real estate agents, and I might get a couple people that find me and get a loan. And by, that definition, I've monetized that content, right? But that is not the sole purpose of what I put out. You found a way to actually create, wealth and to create money from it, right? How did you do that? A lot of people, again, are looking at you, looking at other entrepreneurs in the social media, TikTok, Instagram world, and saying, how do I get a paycheck from this? How did you monetize your business?
It's a good point. So I think number one is a lot of, I don't call myself an influencer, right? I call myself more of a businessman or a spokesman, right? So I'm not a person that if a business comes to me, they say, hey, it's going to be super cool. Let's do a trade, like wear my shirt and then you have a hat and then we say peace and whatever. No. It's like, well, how can I be involved in the game?
Okay.
How can I be involved in the business, right? So the first thing is I find their needs. I need to find what their needs are, right? So if I see that they need more aspects of telling their story, they don't have any aspects of even their own talk show, they need more celebrity, they need more pizzazz and all that. Well, clearly those are about 4 or 5 things that you guys don't have that I got. Right.
Solving that problem for them.
Exactly, right? So I now can bridge that gap of now I can charge for those types of services. Now, that didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Right? I had to, it was a lot of trial and error of finding how I can monetize that. But a lot of people need to understand with their social media brand is that, one, like you said, when you start putting out content being you talking about college football or talking about whatever, you're bringing those type of people towards you. Now it's going to be on you to figure out, how can I monetize this? There's a lot of people right now who have 500,000 followers and they still know how to make $100 from it.
Yeah.
Which I understand. But I have a friend, Fayola, he has 6,000 followers and he was landing 5-figure deals every other week, right? But because he knew how to leverage it, right? So the key is just finding the needs, right, within your talent and gift, and then charging for those specific types of services, right?
Gotcha.
And for me, you know, as of right now, I mean, a lot of my business I promote on social media, but it's not activated just through social media. I mean, if social media was down, money would still be coming in, right?
Gotcha.
Right? So it's gotten to a point now where it's like, hey, we're producing TV shows, we're doing other content, we're being innovative what we're doing. So it's gotten to a point where it's not just based through social media, which is a goal, but it definitely started there. Right. And
okay.
and you know, the one scripture I always go to is that your gift will make room for you, right? So if you have a gift to speak, you need to be posting stuff on speaking, right? So you might not have a coaching business figured out, but if you can speak, keep putting that out there, keep seeking advice, and then some opportunities will be made for you, and then you will learn from those, right? Because at first, I think 2 years ago, my model was I was hitting up companies saying, hey, let me be your face.
Yeah.
Let me be your spokesman, right? That evolved also then into me saying, hey, a couple years ago, nobody in the Valley was featuring big listings on page. Now everybody's doing it, but nobody's featuring big listings. So I said, hey, let me feature some real estate listings on the page.
Okay.
Then it evolved to, let me get into your culture.
Yeah.
Right? Then it evolved to, we can produce a show. Then it evolved to, I have my own show. Then it evolved to whatever. And now it's like, okay, now we're in a full scale thing of like, well, which one you want? You want a spokesman? You want a show? You want to produce this?
Yeah.
But it was step by step. So anybody out there listening, it's take it step by step. You want to start a restaurant? Start by a food truck.
Right.
You know, start by some products, and then it'll
Kinda
eventually
just grow step by step. I like it. You got so much going on. You got a hand in this and that, right? But it all falls under that same umbrella. How do you prioritize the tasks?
Ooh, that's really good. That's really good. Well, we still even have to get better at that. I mean, as you're growing, right, there's still going to be things you're going to be learning. But the one thing I prioritize, man, is that, and Gib was talking about this on the podcast before, is one, you know, I start my day every day with God, right, in faith, right? So my meditation time, I'm in a place where I don't reach out to new business, right? I'm in a place where I get in alignment myself spiritually, and then from there things will flow in that place. So that's one way how I prioritize. I don't get up and just say,
start going
whatever.
Places. Okay.
I get up first, might listen to a sermon, might listen to a motivational talk, might read some word, might oversee, might eat some breakfast, right?
Okay.
And then from there, the day starts flowing smoothly. You know, when you tap into that divine energy, you're tapping into divine answers, right? So a lot of times when you slow down, you have to slow down to catch up to what that energy's saying.
Gotcha.
And so when I slow down, now I'm caught up, then my day is ordered in a prioritized way. Now, I do think we can be better when it comes to prioritizing, like if it's business things. You know, we use different apps like Asana or other things to align our clients' dates and stuff like that. I have an assistant now. We have some editors overseas as well, too. I have 3 or 4 videographers I work with as well, too. So that team is expanding to make those processes more efficient.
Gotcha.
But
so you're bringing on some leverage too.
Bringing on some leverage, but the first thing I tell everybody is that before you write that to-do list, before you write that vision board, you need to spend some time with you. I didn't know who Bryce is.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Ridge is.
Yeah.
I didn't know who David is, right? Before I start vision board, you know, whatever, who do you want to be? First, let's start there. Let's start in quiet time, and then everything, the chips will fall where they may.
Will align. I like that. You, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, and myself, and I would assume you, I feel like this, my whole life, I always knew that, you know, I'm just going to continue to keep growing and continue to keep getting better. And there's speed bumps that come up along the way, right?
Sure.
But they never seem to be like, man, this was the end. This is like, oh, I'm just done now, right? It's like, no, that was a speed bump. On to the next thing, right?
Sure.
And so when I said, hey, I'm going to get into lending, I said, I'm going to be the biggest lender here in Idaho, right? And then 3 years later, we're running Fulcrum, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people maybe don't have that positive reinforcement, right?
Man.
That you're kind of talking about, like, hey, I have a gift to speak. I need to be speaking, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that is, you're either born with it or do you learn that?
It's a little bit of both,
right?
Because I think here's the key: manifestation doesn't come from what you say; it comes from what you keep saying.
Okay,
right? That's how you manifest, right? So when you know, Bryce didn't just say, "I want to be the biggest lender in the state, it was continual saying. I'm going to be that continual saying, right? So sometimes people might say, I'm going to do this, but after month 5, they might say, I'm out,
Yeah.
right? So how people manifest like that is really just perseverance. It's amazing what can happen if you just show up.
Right.
And be consistent every day. There's so many people who I used to do stuff with 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, I don't know where they're at now. You know what I'm saying? But when you're consistent and you continue to show up and you continue to keep flowing, continue to keep growing, it's amazing just that.
Right.
Will make you surpass so many
other
people,
people.
right? So I do think, to answer your question, one aspect, you could be born with it because since 4 or 5 years old, you've always wanted to do real estate. Since 4 or 5 years old, you always wanted to be a developer or whatever that is, and you see your parents do it.
Right.
So there's probably this inner thing in you to say, I don't care what the hell is in my way, I'm gonna go do this, right?
Yeah.
That's more of a born factor. That's the way I was. My parents always put in me about entrepreneurship. I was doing media stuff since as a kid.
Yeah.
So I just know, like, I'm born for this, so I don't care whatever it is, I'm still doing this, right? But it could be developed as you can find a goal, you can find a talent that you really feel is unique and say, man, I'm really passionate about this. And if you can develop that ingenuity of, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to keep going, that's where you can kind of see results. So to people listening, it's like, dude, like, you could be 2 or 3 more pushes away from that breakthrough that you're really, really looking for, right? We're already in November, so these next 60 days, let's press towards the mark and push hard, and who knows what will happen in December. We can probably hit that goal we didn't even think we could hit, right? It's spiritual forces do it, right? So that'll be my answer.
Okay. How much of a role did third parties, your parents, family, push you to the person that you are today?
Huge because anybody in your life, I'm huge on with my friends, with the people around me, my fiance, whatever, is speaking life over people. I don't want to speak negative things over people. So my parents were always doing that with me. They were always saying, oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Man, you can do that. They would drive me, we would drive around in Dallas, we would drive around neighborhoods where Jerry Jones lived or Mark Cuban, right? I'll be 5, 6 years old, but I was seeing that, and so it's when you expose somebody to that, if it's people who have kids that are listening, it's like, take your kids out to the nice homes. Show your kids this, front row seats at a game or whatever, so they can be exposed to that at a young age. You have no idea what that does to them. Because when they see that, they actually say, man, it's possible. In those neighborhoods and the projects in Chicago, all that, how they might be struggling, to get out, the hood. But the only thing they need to solve that is to have guys like a Kevin Durant or somebody come back and say,
show them the vision.
And talk and say, hey, I'm in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
I came from here. And not every kid might get it, but one kid might say, damn, if he was in this school and he got out, or LeBron got out, I can get out.
Right.
And so exposure and all that stuff is key, man. And so
like
anybody's, when we meet everybody, I always like speaking life. Hey, man, you can do that. You're going to do that. I'm like, when we talk, I go, yeah, you're going to have a show.
Yeah.
I just like doing, hey, you're going to kill it. You're going to do that. And people take that and they receive it. And things start to grow.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that, any time when either I was coaching or even now, hey, I want to get into real estate, I want to try this development thing, do it.
Do it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna bounce any ideas you want. I'm gonna share my success stories with you, but I'm gonna be positive and uplifting and tell you that you can, because I think you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, some people don't grow up with parents like yours, parents like mine that said, hey, you can do it. And there was constant affirmations of you, whatever you want to do, it is possible.
Right.
And I think and again, some people don't have that, but if they can watch a D-Mac, or if they can watch, Bryce, or they can see a LeBron James or anybody that's on social media doing that, and they can see, hey, that's the vision there.
Yeah.
Right? Then maybe it is possible.
Right, because I tell people, I'm like, dude, like, not to brag or whatever, but it's like, I've had so many people say, you ever go to New York or L.A.? I mean, with what you're doing, things would go good there. I go, yeah, but, for me to be doing what I'm doing in Idaho, it's like, bro, like entertainment and media in Idaho.
Right.
People be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, how?
How?
Right? You know what I'm saying? How are these people coming, whatever? But off of pure, absolute faith and perseverance and not giving up, it's like those type of Hollywood-like opportunities are coming to me. And that's why I tell people, I go, how can you hate?
Yeah.
That's why I never hate on anybody. Like,
Yeah.
how can you hate on somebody who's growing something. Like, you were not there through those sacrifices. You were not there with them putting in the time. So if you didn't make those same sacrifices, you should not be hating. You should just be appreciating.
Right.
Like, oh man, this is cool, right?
Yep.
And so I think, especially on social media, you hear a lot of this on social media now. I gotta get off social media because I'm seeing too much. People are posting the highlights of their life. I'm always seeing these new cars, all that. Well, what you should be thinking is, damn, that's freaking dope. You know what? I can do that too.
Yeah.
You know what? I see that. That's a cool G-Wagon. You know what? I'm going to get that too.
Okay.
I like what he's posting this content. You know what? I'm going to listen to that podcast too.
Yeah.
So instead of like negating it and being like, oh my God, like I always see Bryce's stuff or I always see David's stuff.
Yeah.
Revert it.
Right.
Reverse it. I like that, man. I want to invest, you know?
Or I like that. Change the script on what you're seeing, or also change what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I go on Instagram to work, to promote my business, to see what other people are doing. But I'm not on there scrolling through and looking at all these videos, right?
Right.
When I go on Twitter, it's not to go see what celebrities are tweeting. It's to get market updates. So I
Right.
think there's a two-part series where, yes, you can change what you're looking at, and you can change the mindset of what you're receiving at the
Right.
same time, right? But going back to what you just said, Boise, and for those of us that have gone and seen a different industry in a different state, California, New York, Texas, you came from Texas, the pace of living and the people, they vibrate at a different frequency.
Yes.
It's a faster frequency.
It is.
And when you come back here, it's kind of alarming of, wow, this, although we are growing, it's slow.
It is slower, yeah.
So is it an advantage or a disadvantage to be an entrepreneur in the social media world, and maybe just an entrepreneur in general in Idaho?
Two answers to that. One, it's an advantage because Boise's growing, right? And
No doubt.
and it's a lot of talented people here. This ecosystem is very, very talented, right? So it can be very beneficial for you. But my answer to your question is basically, it can be beneficial to you if you're called to be here. Right.
Okay.
I always say this. If you are supposed, in your purpose, or you're supposed to be called to be doing what you're supposed to be doing in Idaho or in Maine or in New Hampshire, you will thrive there. A lot of people leave their alignment to go chase what the world's traffic is doing.
Okay.
When we should just be going where God or your source is telling you to be, right?
You're already here.
You're already here. So the grass is not always green on the other side.
Yeah.
Water the grass in front of you.
Okay.
Right? And so I think if you were called to be in a specific place, magnificent things can happen. There's a lot of opportunities I got just by being in alignment here. If I would have left to LA or New York, I would have been in the traffic with everybody else, waiting tables, doing whatever it is to try to get a role.
More competition too.
More competition, to where here you can just be in alignment of just, hey, I'm flowing in my gift, I'm watering the grass in front of me, and now these things are coming to me. So I always tell people, check your alignment, check what your true purpose is, because sometimes people just leave and abort where there's a lot of alignment, there's a lot of favor here. I knew when I came out of college, I was like, I have too many relationships here. I play football here. I've already interned here. People already want me to kind of be involved with some things. I'm already hosting events.
Yeah.
I can't leave that.
Yeah.
Right?
I got a foundation
Just for
coming in.
something that I think is going to be better. I got to flow in this, and it's benefited me. Right? And so stay in your alignment, stay in your purpose, stay where God's been calling you to be, and those results will come. You can build a mogul thing from Tulsa, a mogul business from Maine, New Hampshire, Boise, wherever you're called, stay in that.
I like that. I completely agree. I think, absolutely. Stay in your lane, and then coming back to the competition thing, there's less competition here, right? So it's not that people in those other areas are doing that much more. It's just that there's more people doing that exact same thing, right? And I think maybe sometimes people get caught up on that. So there's still, in my book, there's a lot of people just doing a lot of average stuff. There's just a larger majority of them doing it, right? But in this environment, there's less of that. So it allows you to stand out even more. And then you can kind of scale up from there and say, okay, what are other people doing, right? How do I mirror my, social media or my brand after somebody over here? Like when I first got doing what I was doing, I met Brian Decker in California.
Right.
I saw what he was doing. I was like, man, I'm going to emulate that. It's working. I like the way he talks. I like the way what he produces. That works. And I think a lot of times, going back several minutes, it's okay to find somebody that does it and then copy it.
Right.
Right. And
replicate
it. Because a lot of people are like, hey, I can't be talking about, like this person or her or this guy, they're not going to know. Like
Right.
your audience isn't going to be like, oh, I saw that video, 10 minutes ago on the Pop Show, or I saw Brian, you know what I mean? So you can take bits and pieces, and that's so easy to curate content by emulating what David does, right? What Brian Decker does.
And
or
think about
somebody
it
else.
too, like, you have, there might be a lot of people who might say, look, people in LA, or if it's in New York, they might be trying to say, hey, I want to be in this movie, or I want to act in this television show. But think about it. A lot of people are all taking the same path. Do you really want to go do what millions of other people are doing? It's like a traffic.
Right.
Everybody trying to do the same. So it's like, get to Hollywood or get to your mogul place in real estate through another way.
Right.
Like, if they all did it this way, then I'm going to do it here. And
It's my lane.
Exactly. And it's always going to be somebody who's in that traffic,
Yeah.
pushing the car in the traffic going, hey, man, you should just, like, come over here. It's like, no, I'm called to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to, like, get right behind you in this long grocery line that everybody's doing. Like,
I'm in the Fast Express.
Exactly. I'm flowing in this alignment.
I love that, dude. I love that. Well, hey, this has been awesome. I think anybody that listens to this is going to have some great tips on social media, just being an entrepreneur in general. Is there any way, where do we find you, D-Mac? Where do we, how can people help you out? I know you got some partnerships and stuff like that.
Just send $1 million. No, I'm kidding. I'm on Instagram at DMAC_1. I'm also on LinkedIn a lot as well, too. And then also our website is dmacenterprises.com. So that's DMACEnterprises.com. So you can find us on that. But we're always posting content, always sharing people's stories.
Check them out.
Always flowing. So we can connect on that. And yeah.
Perfect. All right, my man. Well, I appreciate
sir.
you coming on. Awesome time. And we'll see you for Hoops this Sunday.
Boom. I'm not going to make it.
Cut.
Yeah.